Listen carefully, because this moment is holy. This message is not by accident. Right now, heaven is pulling on your spirit. There are things inside of you that have been sleeping, gifts that have been waiting, a fire that has been buried under the weight of life. But today, by the power of God, those things are awakening. What you thought was lost was only hidden. What you thought was finished was only waiting for permission to rise. And the Spirit of the Lord is declaring, this is your awakening moment. You see, dormancy is not death. It is divine preparation. A seed must be hidden in the ground before it ever blossoms into a tree. Some of you have mistaken your quiet seasons for failure, when really God was placing you in the soil of obscurity so that your roots could go deep. The very reason you felt hidden, overlooked, or delayed was because God was building you in secret. So when you emerge, you cannot be shaken. But here is the key. What keeps many from awakening is attachment. Attachment to people who no longer serve your calling. Attachment to emotions that keep you bound. Attachment to memories that replay your pain more than God's promises. Emotional and spiritual detachment is not weakness. It is the purest sign of strength. To detach is to declare, I am not ruled by fear. I am not bound by approval. I am not owned by my past. I belong to God and God alone. When you detach, you make room. And when you make room, God fills it. Many of you are crowded with the weight of people's opinions, and that's why your spirit feels suffocated. But when you step back, when you release the grip, when you let go of what you thought you couldn't live without, you will see how much lighter you truly are. Detachment is not about losing, it's about gaining freedom to walk fully in your purpose. Confidence does not come from who stands beside you, it comes from who stands within you. When your confidence is in God, you no longer need to cling to temporary things to prove your worth. You begin to stand tall, not because the crowd applauds you, but because heaven has approved you. This is spiritual confidence, knowing that your identity is not tied to what leaves or what stays, but to the unshakable word of God over your life. And now, hear this. Everything that was dormant in you, every dream that seemed buried, every passion that was silenced by disappointment, it is rising again. Fear cannot hold it down. Rejection cannot keep it buried. Delay cannot cancel it. What God placed in you is awakening. It's time to detach from the old and step boldly into the new. This is your moment of release. This is your moment of awakening. This is the hour where heaven's purpose in you comes alive. Dormancy is not death. It is divine preparation. When God allows something in your life to feel still, hidden, or silent, it does not mean He has abandoned you or that the promise is gone. It means He has placed you in the secret place, the place where roots grow deeper than what the eye can see. A seed, when first sown into the soil, looks as though it has disappeared. From the surface, it looks like nothing is happening. But in reality, beneath the soil, life is multiplying. Transformation is occurring. Strength is being formed. That seed is preparing to break forth in due season, but only after it has been concealed long enough to withstand the weight of growth. Many people mistake silence for punishment, when in truth, silence is often God's strategy. He hides you so you are not destroyed prematurely. He allows your gifts to feel dormant, so they are not misused or exposed before they are mature. Dormancy teaches you to depend on His timing rather than your own. It teaches you to release the desperation to be seen and instead find contentment in being chosen, even when hidden. This kind of preparation protects you because what has been deeply rooted cannot be easily shaken when storms come. When you feel overlooked or forgotten, remember the seed. God's hand is not absent. It is covering you like the soil covers the seed. What looks like burial is really planting. What feels like delay is actually preparation. And when the time is right, nothing can stop the life within you from bursting forth. Dormancy is a divine stage where destiny is incubated, where character is refined, and where the unseen work of God establishes the foundation for the visible glory to come. Emotional detachment is not rejection, but redirection. So often we cling to people, situations, and memories because we fear that letting go will leave us empty. But in truth, the act of detachment is not about loss. It is about creating space for divine alignment. There are relationships that once carried you, but if you hold on past their season, they begin to drain you. There are emotions tied to disappointments and failures that replay like a broken record, keeping your spirit bound to the past. Detachment is the decision to release these weights, not because they never mattered, but because they cannot carry you into where God is calling you. Detachment does not mean you stop loving or caring. It means you stop depending on what was never meant to be your foundation. It means you no longer let someone else's opinion dictate your identity, nor do you allow the pain of your past to set the tone for your future. When you detach, you are not rejecting the people or the moments you once held close. You are simply acknowledging that your destiny is bigger than any attachment. God's redirection requires that your hands be free. If you are still holding on to what has expired, you cannot grasp what is eternal. When you release what is not aligned with your purpose, you make room for what is. This is where true freedom lies. Your spirit begins to breathe again. Your confidence begins to rise, not because you feel in control, but because you have surrendered control to God. Detachment empowers you to walk forward without fear because you recognize that loss of one thing is often the opening for something far greater. It is not the end. It is the divine redirection toward your awakening. Spiritual confidence grows when you no longer attach your identity to people or circumstances, but to God's unshakable word. Many live their lives seeking validation from the voices around them, parents, friends, society, even enemies. Approval becomes the anchor, and without it, they feel lost. But this kind of confidence is fragile because it is built on shifting ground. People's opinions change, circumstances shift, seasons come and go. If your worth is tied to what is temporary, your spirit will always be unstable. True confidence begins when you detach from these fleeting anchors and root yourself in what cannot be moved. The word of God spoken over your life. When you recognize that your identity is not based on what you do, how successful you appear, or how others perceive you, but on who God says you are, you step into a realm of freedom. You no longer need to perform to be accepted because you already know you are chosen. You no longer fear rejection because you understand rejection from man does not cancel selection by God. This kind of confidence allows you to stand in places others think you don't belong because you know heaven has placed you there. Spiritual confidence is not arrogance. It is assurance. It is the quiet but unshakable conviction that no matter what comes against you, you are anchored in truth. This assurance gives you peace when storms arise, boldness when opposition stands in your way, and joy when circumstances don't align with your expectations. It allows you to walk into any room without shrinking back because you know your value is not determined by the environment. It is already established in eternity. This confidence is what empowers you to carry out purpose without wavering because your foundation is God Himself. Awakening comes when you allow what was buried under disappointment, fear or doubt to rise through surrender, trust, and divine alignment. Every person carries within them a divine deposit, a purpose that was breathed into their spirit before they ever entered this world. But life has a way of burying what God placed inside. Pain can silence dreams. Betrayal can cause trust to wither. Repeated failures can convince the heart that it is safer to settle than to believe again. Over time, the fire that once burned bright becomes hidden beneath the ashes of discouragement. Yet the truth remains. What God placed in you cannot be destroyed. It may lie dormant, but it is never gone. The moment of awakening is not when circumstances suddenly change, but when you choose to rise from within. Awakening begins with surrender, the decision to stop fighting battles in your own strength and to yield control to the one who holds your destiny. It continues with trust, trusting God's timing, His process, and His plan, even when you cannot see the outcome. And it is sealed with alignment, bringing your thoughts, actions, and desires into agreement with heaven's blueprint for your life. As you surrender, trust, and align, what was dormant begins to stir. Hope starts to breathe again where despair once ruled. Boldness emerges where fear tried to silence you. Vision sharpens where confusion clouded your perspective. The very areas where you felt most broken become the grounds of your greatest testimony. Awakening is not a single moment. It is a continual rising, a daily decision to uncover what God has placed within and to walk in it unapologetically. When you embrace this process, the dormant within you transforms into destiny filled. What has been asleep within you is not gone. It is alive, waiting for your yes. This is the hour to let go of what no longer serves you, to silence the voices of fear, and to rise with the confidence that your identity is sealed in God. The detours, the delays, the disappointments, they were never meant to bury you, but to prepare you. Now is the time to step into divine alignment, to awaken every gift, every dream, every fire that has been hidden. You are not defined by what left you, nor limited by what tried to break you. You are defined by what God has spoken over you, and His word cannot fail. Stand tall, stand free, and stand awakened, because the world is waiting for what God placed inside of you to come alive.